And the hardest thing was not just to tell Ernie and Gloria's story about being decanted out of the state, because there's this, we really took on that, we felt so passionate about their story. And I felt a huge amount of responsibility to them. But also I knew we were talking about the elephant in the castle, not just a few individuals. So it was very hard not to get trapped into a singular vision and be kind of truthful to my own imagination and my own kind of...
Which goes, I guess, back to Chrome Hoof as well. They are so many components making up one thing. It's very complex and complicated. So in a way, they were a perfect vehicle to take that complicated vision to a degree.
Could I ask a question? I mean, does anybody know what the reason is for the getting rid of the Haygate and the redevelopment of the Aylesbury, and also the tower block that's just gone up, that massive great tower block that must have cost an absolute fortune? What's it for? So it's a private development. So, I mean, it seems to me that, I mean, what you're saying...
I don't agree that it was going to be a hotel. No, it's going to be private flats.
Maybe 10% council. Council gets rid of it.
So it seems to me that there's massive issues of power here.
They just want to make the elephant castle look smart. You can understand it looks an eyesore at the moment.
Yeah.
They want to pull it down and start again. That's what the conversation is.
So I'll just paraphrase what you're saying. Yeah, only saying that the reason why they're going to redevelop the whole area is because it's an eyesore and it's central London and they can make money from it.
The shopping centre is a disgusting place, isn't it? Sorry, the shopping centre is actually disgusting. We walk through it, it's not very nice in there, is it?
I actually quite like it. I've actually come to really love
I like that pub
Elephant Castle.
at the bottom where we had a game of... Did we have a game of snooker? No, but that... Yeah, I thought it was all right.
I'm not different parody.
Yeah, and there's heaps of space. Like, it's very... I like the brutalist architecture.
It has deteriorated, obviously.
It could look better, couldn't
Yeah, yeah. Pink is a bad colour.
I'm saying it's scruffy, it's a bit scruffy.
Yeah.
The underground, all the walkways are really bloody confusing. You never know which way, that's...
I don't go through it.
But which
that's
is also...
really, that doesn't work that long,
That's also very similar to the Haygate estate. And I think that's why the elephant's intimidating, because once you go in, you don't know
where you
are and where to go. And I think...
They're going to pedestrianise the elephant if they can, but it probably never happen, So you actually walk across, walkways and things like that, not walkways, pedestrian areas. But they can't do it because you've got 5 lines of traffic coming through them.
You can see why, they've got the House of Parliament half a mile away. You can see why they want to redevelop this whole area.
They want to smart it out.
And there are plenty of models around Europe where refurbishment has really worked and actually has been a lot cheaper than demolition and rebuilding. And I kind of took the sort of swallow analogy, the idea of rebuilding your nest every year. It's almost like the idea of refurbishing your old nest, as swallows do, and taught them, and kind of did some rough costings of refurbishment as well. But apparently they'd looked at that as well and gone against it. But I think politically it just doesn't work for them, refurbishment, because it's born as an eyesore.
What has been the net result of that exercise? There will be actual changes to the politics of development of the area.
It's difficult for us to ascertain what the net results are. I think we have some inklings in terms of how the project has impacted on certain individuals. Politically, I'm not sure. I think we might have just been another prod in them saying, this isn't working, you've got to change it, you've got to dramatically rethink it. But I think what we've done is still carrying on. I think we're yet to see the results of what we're doing. But my hope always is that, an art project can have a political effect somehow.
A social impact too.
Yeah, social impact as well.
Are you aware of other similar art or creative projects which have a weight in terms of urbanism and regenerational changes of life to people?
Yeah, I was actually talking last night to you about that. Who's the name of the artist in New York who started photographing a railway track over many years in summer, spring, autumn. And over the years, he's generated so much interest in that track and the nature that's developed around there, the ecosystem of plants and insects, that now it's a national park in the heart of New York City, something that was considered redundant and an eyesore. And that came out of a series of photographs over a decade. That was quite interesting.
I think it's been difficult for us because we haven't actually set out with something to resolve. We haven't set out with a question to resolve, which I normally work with, actually. We haven't set out with some goals we want to achieve. So in that sense, it's kind of a rambling project. But that's suited it as well. So it is about an ongoing influence, I think.
I think we had to surrender to that in a way and basically allow, very much like what happened with Marcus and Chrome Hoof, the next stage of editing, for instance, to take that similar approach as well, which is quite vague in some way, which is a bit intimidating, but...
Yeah, it's scary, the uncertainty. And I think that's what we're all dealing with, is the uncertainty. No one really knows what's going to happen in the future. And the council are constantly giving us certainty by giving us this singular vision, this beautiful, futuristic place. Actually, I think people are much more pragmatic about the uncertainty of life. And I think that's kind of what I'm dealing with these processes, and how sitting in that uncertainty is a more creative place and much more receptive to the realities of your situation.
What you're saying, there's no utopia, is it?
No, there's no utopia. And that's what they're trying to give you.
Well, it's also a bit Brave New World, isn't it? Selling this idea of kind of calm and perfection, which, of course, as we all know, doesn't exist.
I think the idea of delving into the sort of cauldron of the unknown, in the way you're describing, sounds really fascinating. But I mean, traditionally, I think shamans, they do that, and there is some material effect. And I just worry a little bit about, which I think is a very art world concern, about not sort of actually pinning yourself down and actually coming to some kind of conclusion and just saying, oh no, this is just wrong. And the idea of a shaman is especially like there's a whole tradition of shaman kind of being used in sort of New Age spirituality, where you get, like people working in the stock exchange to go on the weekend and like discover they're in a man and beat drums and stuff like that, and then go back and do the same things, And I think that there is this tendency in the West to kind of strip mine spiritualities from different cultures, like yoga and the body beautiful and all this kind of stuff. And it's just completely missing the point. Even a medieval hermit or anchorite was really, really engaged in the structure of society, and we've kind of lost that. And it seems to me that's the similar thing when you talk about the responsibility of art, the function of art.
Yeah, that's something I'm very sensitive about, I think, with all my work. And this project has been the most difficult in that sense, because there hasn't been a determined end goal. Usually I just start off with a question that I try and answer, and I give maybe a bit of a vague answer, but I give an answer. And I feel like my responsibility is to, rather than artists providing questions, I feel like I've put myself in a position where I'm going to actually provide an answer. But with this project, I think we're not entirely sure what the question is yet.
Didn't you say you wanted to get all these different voices talking to each other, and that was one of the ways to do it?
Lots of that. But I think you're saying, you're not putting yourself on the line. Are you saying that?
I'm just getting the feeling. I mean, I wondered what that tower block that you were talking about, because that went up so quick. I just thought, my God, and it's just so blatant that there's just in terms of energy, that massive amount of energy to build that, and it could have been used to kind of make the place where you were living better, or it's just, to me, I don't have any doubts about it. I just think it's wrong. I can't. There's nothing in myself that could kind of see that there's any justice in that.
Well, I think we have a very strong feeling that other parts are very wrong, but we also see that parts of the area are really run down and they need some help.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, it's the fact that, you know, if you've got a boil on your skin, which is what that tower block, it's like all this kind of poison going into this, building this private thing for these people, and that you know, that energy could be better used.
It's a very strange middle finger to Elephant and Castle, isn't it? It's kind of,
Yeah, it's like it, yeah.
I don't see how it fits in with the whole thing though, because they've stuck this thing up. I mean, with all the things, have you seen all the website stuff where they've got all the pictures? It's like, it's all one big, you know, the whole thing was going to come down, it's all going to be built in one big go, and it's all going to be amazing. I don't really see it. So basically somebody's got the money and stuck that thing up, haven't they? I mean, that's how it works, basically how property works, let's face it.
it's also a symbol of hope for the investors, maybe.
Yeah, maybe,
People that
yeah.
they want in there. But I've got to wrap this up. But is there any other quick questions before we, Rob?
Sorry, it's not so much a question. It's more, I suppose, a little bit about Elefest. Kind of just sitting here listening to this conversation, it kind of struck me that there's quite a few parallels.
Can I interrupt here? Rob Ray basically invented Elefest. It's his project that he kind of does off his own back. And he's been quite helpful to us in the whole process. So.
Okay, you're more than welcome. What I was trying to get at was some of the conversation that's going on here about the lack of redevelopment, the lack of regeneration, the fact that there's limbo. It's kind of like, in a way, we started the Elefest in 2003 as a way of trying to get something creative and cultural happening in the area. And the reason why we done that was because the original regeneration plan back in 2000 had fallen apart. So there's a certain thing of, it's been going on for 10 years, more or less. And we were building the festival, trying to build some creativity, try and create, celebrate the area. And it's kind of like we got some funding from the council, we get some funding for the developers, but the catch to it all was you're trying to celebrate an area while at the same time the people giving you the money are trying to change it. And it's quite a difficult dilemma to be in, because you're almost like, if the local people don't necessarily like the plans that are coming, they don't necessarily, it's guilt by association. And that's always been the problem with the festival, and it's just bizarre that after 7 or 8 years of running the festival, we're still in this sort of catch-22 where the people who are living on the Highgate and the Aylesbury, they still don't know what's going on. They still don't know if they're going to be there 10 years, 15 years. The economic bubble has burst. There doesn't seem to be any financial support for the redevelopment, so it's kind of like it's limbo. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know that's quite a long rambling way of putting it, but some of the themes that are being talked about here, we've been going around in a circle for nearly 10 years, and I don't think it's good for the local people, to be honest, and that's about it.
I think that's the circular nature of the project as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically.
So hopefully something will happen at some point.
David?
Yeah, actually, Mark, if you want to shoot more film, any idea what you want to do?
I think we've got to look at what we've done, spend a bit more time with that. Yeah, I've got a few ideas. Yeah, but how we show that at the end, I'm not sure yet. Yeah. Very,
Just
sorry.
very, I know I've got a few ideas, but I like when you said about the boys coming to the floor where you were sleeping and the energy, and that they wanted to spend sort of time, and that they were talking a lot, and Rika is a documentary maker who's I don't know, just as you know, sort of somebody on the receiving end of a process. I don't know, I feel a sense of relief that there is another viewer who comes in as an observer to, I don't know, sort of, you know, try to establish, you know, what is the truth. What is the truth? But there's so the function of the observer is to sort of like, you know, assimilate information, but also, you know, sort of actually I work with children. You know, you know, people respond to having attention paid to them, or, you know, situations respond to attention being paid. And if there is a sort of like an independent person who's paying attention to a problem from a different perspective without a particular vested interest, I think that is valuable.